So one day I get a phone call from my halfway house supervisor at home around 8, 9 o'clock in the evening. And she calls me and she says, well, Gideon, I have a question to you. Do you know if you did any drugs recently? I said, what? What are you talking about? It's impossible because I didn't do any drugs ever. So I came in, and the moment I came in, they called me to the front desk. They said, well, you had the violation because your drug test came back positive for opium. Opioid. I said, opioid? I mean, I understand. I didn't even know what opioid is. Well, he said, opioid is just like opium. I said, what are you talking about? I don't do any drugs. It's crazy. It's mind-boggling for me. I started thinking, what could it be? Opioid. And I started putting opioid that's like poppy, it comes from poppy seeds, right? And it struck me right away. My God. Just like 2 days before, I actually bought bread with poppy seeds on it. And I still had that bread sitting there. I ate, certain part of it, but most of it was still left. So I asked my friend to go to the apartment, take pictures of that bread, and send it to me. Which he did in the middle of that week that I was staying there. I was asked to come down and speak to one of the officers, and I didn't realize that was DHO. I had no idea. Nobody said anything. He just said, well, sit down, I have some questions to you, and we started the procedure. If I knew it was DHO, I would be more prepared and I would answer differently. But at no point he said, this is your DHO hearing, which is the biggest problem and the mistake that they do. And it's very misleading.
Yeah.
Because he asked me several questions which are crucial to me. For example, he asked me if I have any witnesses that would like to present. What I thought in my mind at that time, witnesses right now? No, I don't have anybody right now that I can bring to you. I'm just here alone. But should I have known that it was DHO? Of course, I have a witness, which is my landlord who found the bread in my house. He is the witness. Also, he's a witness and he knows me that I don't do any drugs. So basically, the only thing I did show him was the bread picture that I received from my friend, and that was the only evidence that I had in my one morning. They came up to my room and they said, well, get all your stuff and come downstairs. I didn't know why. I didn't say anything. When I come downstairs, I see 2 marshals, huge marshals, standing there, telling me, take everything out of your pockets. I said, what's going on? I said, well, the marshals are going to take you with us. I said, hey, wait, can I make a phone call? What's going on? He said, well, you can make one phone call. I tried to make a phone call, and the person I was calling didn't answer. He said, well, that's it. They took my phone, they took everything. They put me in shackles and handcuffs.
They got you, shackled you up like you were a danger to the community, right? Because you ate some poppy seeds
Very dangerous
on bread, you became a danger to the community. So they shackled you hand and foot and took you back to one of the worst prisons in the United States of America, MDC Brooklyn.
Yes, and by the way, I didn't even mention that I only at that time had 13 more days only left on my time until the end of my sentence.
Their mentality is, we got you. Easy money, right? Because you messed up and we get to screw you over and make some more money off the taxpayers with you in prison. That's their mindset.
They tried, convicted, and sentenced him of another crime.
Yes.
Without any representation, any chance for him to defend himself. really without even any knowledge that any of this was happening to him.
Right. Which is the most important point.
And this happens all the time. And that's why I think, like, we need more people paying attention. Because when people pay attention, then the hope is that they don't get away with stuff like this.
Well, I found out, and I was expecting it. I knew that they were going to take you, right? And so when I found out that they took you, it was a no-brainer for me to then reach out and say, okay, this is the argument, right? And I knew exactly what the argument was.
David and I would be in communication often, and one day he reached out to me and he said there was this particularly urgent remedy, and I trust David. I know if it's urgent, it's something really important. And so I called David up, we spoke, he told me about Gideon's situation, how Gideon hadn't undergone a fair trial at the halfway house and had then been reincarcerated. And I know how awful the conditions are at MDC, so I knew how important it was to try to help Gideon as much as possible. So that afternoon, I ended up working on a remedy, and I explained what I thought was wrong about the way that Gideon had been treated, and the way that he hadn't received his proper due process rights. I sent it to David. David is super helpful. He always has a little bit of feedback. So then I made some edits, made sure that it was really fiery and could help Gideon as much as possible. And then I turned it over, and it was kind of out of my hands from there, but it ended up being really effective. Definitely, it's been really impactful to me to feel like I was able to make such a big impact on someone's life and really help someone who I really understood as having not been treated fairly by our criminal justice system.
So after you finish writing, and this is Edie's work here, the actual work for the remedy, with all the explanations that Edie gave on why Gideon should not remain in prison, I then took this, attached it to the actual BP-10 form that must be filed on his behalf, and filled that out quickly, get it in the mail. I then sent it off to the regional department on Gideon's behalf, and I sent him a copy of what we did direct to him in prison at MDC Brooklyn. And here's the thing. Again, they knew they were wrong. They knew that this remedy was on point. They could have let you go a long time ago, like they were supposed to, by just addressing this. But they didn't. And they tried all these things to try to keep you in prison. Right? And when their hands were tied and they were forced to address the remedy, guess what? They don't respond, and they just let you walk. Right? Why? Why did they do that? Because they knew that if they had to address this remedy where they were screwing over you in the halfway house, not just you, but other individuals at the halfway house in Brooklyn, by having these sham trials or sham due process, it would be a big thing, right? It's no longer, it would be bigger than you, right? So that's why they didn't do anything. They didn't respond to it. They just let you go, because now this is bigger than you, right? Now folks at the Brooklyn halfway house are not going through the proper disciplinary process as they are supposed to. It's exposed and it's on the record.
And they can get sued.
And they can get sued, and all other types of problems can happen. And so now, what do? We're not going to do that. We're not going to allow that to happen. Just let him go. Right? And that's how we fix this problem. Right? And so, man, it's an amazing story. It's amazing success on behalf of you, Anna, and the Remedy Project, and Edie, who's no longer here with us. That's great work. Absolutely wonderful. When I heard it, I enjoyed the victory tremendously, because we don't always win on paper, on record, right? They're not always going to give us, okay, here you are right on paper, and do what they're supposed to do. A lot of times, the win is just stopping them from doing the wrong that they're doing and having them reverse their course of action. And that's what we got this time at the Remedy Project. It was a reversal in the way that things were done, and you were then set free. And that's absolutely wonderful.